It's Morningstar time. I'm so excited about this. Hello, friends. Welcome to the channel. My name is Andrew Givler. This is GivReads, where I give you books to read. Haha, I'm clever. If you aren't familiar, my name is Andrew Givler. I am a YouTuber, author, booktuber. That's actually the right order, I think. Here on this channel, I like to talk about books, about ones I write, about other ones other people write, my love of storytelling, and everything in between, and share it with you guys. So if you're new around here, do me a favor. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. That stuff helps, okay? It makes a big deal. And today, we're gonna dive into something special. I've been doing a review of one of my favorite series of all time currently, which is Red Rising. I just think it's truly special. Pierce Brown is a really incredible writer, and I love sci-fi, and I love the way that he does sci-fi, and it's just, I could go on forever. We have done a review of book 1, Red Rising, and book 2, Golden Sun, and today we're gonna do book 3, Morningstar. This is a custom cover I got from Nerdy Ink, which I have for the whole set. Hopefully, I believe Nerdy Ink just went out of business though. So hopefully they do one for the final book, because otherwise I'm a little screwed, but it is what it is. As always, we'll talk a little bit generally in the beginning, and then we'll get more into specifics as we go. So if you haven't read it, you can use the beginning as a reason to get it. And if you haven't bought it, you should buy it from the link in the description below. That helps me out. It's a little kickback to keep doing what I'm doing. Morningstar is book 3 in the original Red Rising trilogy. So even though now it's considered one, the way that they were originally written is the first 3 was a standalone trilogy, and then the next, what will end up being 5, is the second, like, sort of trilogy, but they're all sort of just continued in one. And that's important because the first 3 basically handle the rebellion, and then the next 5 handle the aftermath. And that's one of my favorite things about the whole series, is the growth that Darrow, the main character, goes through, right? In the beginning, in Red Rising, he is a slave who lives at the bottom of Mars and has no idea of the world that exists around him. He thinks he lives in a different time. He doesn't think Mars is colonized. He's been lied to his whole life. And by the Morningstar, he's the commander of fleets. He has burned cities to the ground. He has become not quite a god, because he still has more ascending to do, as he will in the continue the rest, but like, he's become infamous. He's become a hero, a demigod, perhaps, would be a great thing, which also fits with the sort of Greek and Roman mythology, which is all throughout this stuff. And it's also another reason I love it, because I love Greek and Roman mythology. In Morningstar, this is the conclusion of that original trilogy, as I said. So this is the final showdown with Octavia Aloun, who is, of course, the dictator. No, she's not the dictator. She is, what is she even called? The Sovereign. Okay. Now, in this book, you have a whole bunch of stuff. You have the betrayal of Rock, right? So the ending of Golden Sun is an incredibly dark place. It's the dark despair. It's the darkest hour type of thing. I forget what the Save the Cat beat is for it. Somebody can put it in the comments below. The Dark Night of the Soul. There it is. And Darrow has been captured in prison. He's being tortured. Nobody knows he's alive. He's been lost. And while he's gone, Severo is running the Rising. And the book opens up with him being rescued. Surprise! There are more books. He survives. And he has to sort of be rebuilt. He's wounded, damaged. They have to sort of medically repair him. He has to get his confidence back and take back over as the, like, arch imperator of the Rising. The Reaper. He has to become the Reaper again. And that whole progress is great. It's probably my least favorite part of the original trilogy, I would say. But I hate the beat, The Dark Night of the Soul. As important as it is, I don't like it. And I've talked about this before in the past, right? Some of my other favorite series that go through it, I also don't like those moments. And this one is the same for me. And I guess maybe that's because I just want a book where the hero never struggles, and that's not good either. But I'm really picky about my type of struggles. And this particular one didn't super land for me. And this is true of Wheel of Time, Empire of Silence. What is Brandon Sanderson's thing going on right now? What is it? The Oathbringer one? Stormlight. In the Stormlight archives, this is like a common complaint that I have, and I would say that other people who do it really well is, like, you take Dresden. I think Dresden does it pretty well, where, like, it doesn't have this sort of frustrating element to it. The thing that I don't like about a lot of the Dark Nights of the Soul is when they make the character no longer able to be themselves. That's unhappy. That's unhappy for me. That's like unenjoyable for me, because I have spent, however many books writing along with the character, and I have fallen in love with them as the way they are. And then you're like, but they can't be that way anymore. And that tension, that dissonance isn't inherently bad, right? It's a good artistic color to paint with. But in this one, Darrow's betrayed and he has to be brought back. And I think one of Pierce Brown's strengths as a writer is that he's really, really good at making characters actually earn their progression. So Darrow does come back and he earns it. And it's good, but it's just like, man, we love Darrow for, like, who he is. And for a minute, he's not Darrow, right? And that's exactly how I feel about Kaladin right now. It's exactly how I feel about Randall Thor at certain points in Wheel of Time, etc. And so one of the things I like about Dresden is even when Dresden is broken, he's still Dresden, right? There's still like a core down there. And you could argue that Ghost Story is like, but I don't think so. Like, I think that he still quintessentially stays Dresden, and he has to figure out how to be able to do those things anymore, but it never feels like he's not himself. And in the beginning of this book, Darrow is not himself for a minute, which is not unreasonable, but I don't enjoy it, right? Golden Sun is like one of my favorite books of all time. This one is very good. This is one of the best in the series, but Golden Sun crushes this one in my opinion. But also because it doesn't have that Dark Night of the Soul moment, that this one, we don't get Darrow at his peak until the end of the book. Now, also we have to deal with the Rock. This is my problem with reading. I don't actually know how to spell Roque. I'll say Roque. The Roque betrayal, which I think was handled beautifully. The way that Darrow and Mustang work together to overthrow. Also, pause. Mustang is like fantastic, and one of my favorite things about this series is the way that Darrow is like a shining light to the people around him, right? So Darrow is a red who becomes a gold, and while he's a gold, he has convinced all these golds that not only is he worthy of respect, but so are all of his people, the people that he's like representing. And so he has sort of changed the mind of all these people around him. So everywhere he goes, he's like a pillar of gravity that sucks people in, and they see things his way. So he has all these golds who now believe in him and believe in his change to some degree or another. But Victra, Severo, Mustang, etc. I think the way that they revolve around him and join him on his mission and the way that's done is brilliant. I truly brilliant. Period. Full stop. Full send. Cassius too, right? Okay, so anyway, the way that like the Rock goes down, the way they fool him, and that final throwdown where like Darrow knows that Rock will expect him to be a certain way, Roque will expect him to be a certain way, and one of the things I love about Darrow is that he always has forgiveness in his heart, right? Like, Darrow is a terrifying monster. He's the Reaper. He has slain thousands, right? Like, and at his orders, hundreds of thousands have died, right? Millions, probably. And yet, he still always seeks peace. And as he stands on the bridge with Roque, and he extends his hand of friendship, and he's like, Roque, come back to me. The same way that he did with Tactus, right? And the way that some of these things resonate, right? Tactus is the one that should have lived. And Lorne, who killed Tactus, regrets it. Even Lorne changes and regrets and wishes that he was more like Darrow. And Lorne's supposed to be like the pinnacle of gold perfection. The last iron gold before Darrow. And Darrow makes Lorne wish he was more like Darrow. And then when Darrow has a chance again and no one else stands around him, right? There's no one there who could take Roque away from him the way that Lorne took Tactus away from him. He extends his friendship and says, Roque, you can be one of us again. We can forgive you. We can make this work. And Roque offs himself, because his pride won't let him do anything else but that. It's about like the pride of the gold and the pride and the arrogance of these people that will make them think that they are better than others. And that's like just such good thematic writing that I like freak out, right? The way that it like the way that book 2 and book 3 parallel each other in those regards of like Darrow trying to save and being unable to, but for different reasons, right? It was the pride of Lorne that killed Tactus, and it's the pride of Roque that killed Roque. And that is what it's all about. And then, finally you have Cassius finally see the error of his ways and come back and be the third one, right? So the third one rings true. You have the Tactus who could not be saved, Roque who was unwilling to be saved, and Cassius who can be saved. That's crazy. That's actually crazy that's how it works. And together they bring down the Sovereign. And obviously the whole plot line of how they get in there, they pretend to capture Darrow, they go in. You finally get to see all of them battle against Aja, who is just as terrifying as we've been led to believe the whole time. We get to see everything fall apart, and then at the end of the book, the head has been struck from the snake. It's so good. And again, because it was written to be an original 3, it has just like a good ending, right? It ends on this hopeful note of like, we have built this thing and we've created beauty. And I want to leave you with something. The final part where he finds out that he's going to be a father. And he says, he's talking about how he needs to change, right? This is the setting. This is how it left if there was never going to be more, even though there was. My people needed a sword, not a father. But now for the first time in my life, I can be both. The war is not over. The sacrifices we made to take Luna will haunt our new world, I know that. But I am no longer alone in the dark. When I first stepped through the gates of the Institute, I wore the weight of the world on my shoulder. It crushed me, broke me, but my friends have pieced me back together. Now they each carry a part of Eo's dream. Together, we can make a world fit for my son, for the generations to come. I can be a builder, not just a destroyer. Eo and Finchner saw that when I could not. They believed in me. So whether they wait for me in the Vale or not, I feel them in my heart. I hear their echo beating across the world. I see them in my son, and when he is old enough, I will take him on my knee, and his mother and I will tell him of the rage of Ares, the strength of Ragnar, the honor of Cassius, the love of Severo, the loyalty of Victra, and the dream of Io, the girl who inspired me to live for more. This is, I think, the incredible strength of Red Rising. The whole series as a whole, this continues into the new series, is the growth that the characters have to go through. I have never seen such a vicious, action-oriented thing with such deep character growth, because each of those characters embody what he just listed there. But the question is, can a destroyer become a builder? And that's what happens in the next series. So we will dive into those more, because I do think that Lightbringer, the most recent one, is probably tied for the best book of this series, and I would love to talk about it. So if you guys want me to continue to talk about Red Rising, do me a favor, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, leave some comments, let me know we should keep talking about this. Go check it out if you haven't. It's truly a special series, and I can't wait for it to be finished. There's one more book to go, and we'll talk about some more books real soon.